What is up, everyone? Alex here with another champion skin tier list. This time we are going to be covering Misfortune. See, it's funny because, misfortune is a word that means unlucky or bad stuff, and she's a female pirate, and Miss is like you know what? You guys get it. So if you've been around for a while, you know I'm primarily an AD carry main, or was. I haven't really played League in quite some time, but I love me some hot girls with some big guns. What did you think I was going to say? Come on. Anyway, Misfortune is a champion I actually have a lot of time on, and because I have no self-control, I have a lot of her skins as well. So a lot of this is going to feel familiar to me as we move through them, but I will very much try to do my best to be relatively unbiased and objective. If you're new here, we use a pretty basic tier list, except E tier, because I just don't think it's necessary. 3 main rules, however. There's only ever going to be one S tier pick, and that is reserved for my all-time favorite skin by whatever metric I decide on. A tier means the skin is as good as it gets when it comes to this particular champion. You can safely consider A tier level skins as a champion's best. Last rule, and this one is relevant to Misfortune's base skin, because base skins always go in D tier. So we're going to set that one here, just so we have a baseline going forward. Alright, that is all the housekeeping out of the way. Let's go ahead and get started with it. We're not really off to a strong start when it comes to dirty jokes, because we have Cowgirl Misfortune to start us out. Now listen, no, I can't. I want to make a joke, but I'm not going to. It's still really early in the video, and being that inappropriate cannot be good for me. Anyway, this is one of her 2 release skins. Has her sporting a cowboy hat, 2 revolvers instead of her usual flintlock style pistols, chaps, and a linen white shirt whose buttons are fighting for their life out here. It costs 750 RP and doesn't really change anything else other than the overall look of the model. Seeing her go from a redhead to a blonde also has me feeling some sort of way, but I do think Misfortune as a natural redhead just looks right. We're going to set this in C tier. It's one of a few skins I'd consider as a starter pack for Misfortune. She has over 20, so let's rapid fire through some of these. Waterloo Misfortune is up next, and oh boy, I do not like this one that much at all. Listen, I respect what Napoleon did when it came to war. He was a brilliant strategist, with the Battle of Waterloo being his magnum opus, but the drip? I'm sorry, I just can't get behind it. And making Misfortune wear it? Disgusting. Come on. The skin only costs 520 RP, and due to the fact that it's not locked away in the Legacy Vault, must mean it sells relatively well, but I just think it's really ugly. I gotta go with F tier, although we stick with the theme of Misfortune shirts really earning their paycheck to the detriment of a bunch of nerds. Okay, garter belts, thigh highs, a hot redhead. Riot, this is just not playing fair. Secret Agent Misfortune is for sure an example of a skin where the splash art is just so much better than the actual in-game model. I just don't think it translates as well, but a Jessica Rabbit reference and a James Bond reference with the golden pistols is pretty nice. Being in the Legacy Vault, well, less nice, because it means you have to get lucky when it comes to getting the skin, with either it showing up in your shop or randomly crafting it or whatever. What I'm trying to say is it's all going to come down to chance whether or not you ever get the skin. Also, extra salt in the wound for a skin that doesn't really do much. It costs 975 RP. I think it's fine. The splash art carries for sure. It's so gorgeous looking, but again, like I said, I just don't think it looks as good in-game, so we're going to go with C tier on this one. A classic League of Legends staple are the holiday skins, more specifically Christmas and Halloween. We get a ton of skins every year for both of these. Most of them are really good. So what about Candy Cane Misfortune? Well, I think it's okay. She looks cute, but then she always looks cute. The red hair and the red outfit look very good together. Fun reversal from the Secret Agent skin is that I think in-game this skin looks better than the splash art for it, although the splash art does have a bunch of poros and a Volibear plush, and that's also kind of nice. Now, obviously, this is a legacy skin, but for 975 RP at some point in the month of December, you'll be able to buy it. Nothing crazy here to talk about. Still probably going to be a C tier skin though. Don't worry, I have a feeling B and A are going to be insanely stacked. We're really just saving room for the time being. Is Road Warrior Misfortune going to be the one that finally gets us into B or A tier? Well, no, not really. The skin is very plain. The best part about it is probably the fact that her pistols are now sawed-off shotguns, and that's really different. They look really cool. They don't function like shotguns, but whatever. It's an obvious Mad Max reference, but no motorcycle outside of the splash. Not in her recall, no home guard animation, nothing like that, which makes sense because it's a legacy 520 RP cost skin. This one feels like, to me, Riot was under a deadline and they really needed to get a skin out for Misfortune, so they hobbled this together and was just like, here you go. It's out. You guys can get it. We matched our deadline. We're still at the point in the video where the skins are pretty mid for the most part, so I know it feels rapid fire, but the pace will slow down soon. Fun fact, when I play Misfortune, I don't really use any of the skins we've covered so far, which makes me feel very confident that we're going to be seeing some heavy hitters that I can yap about pretty hard. Anyway, I'm thinking this one's going to go in D tier for the moment. Just to start out, we can all agree that title for this skin should be Mafia Misfortune. Like, that just goes so much harder than Crime City, right? Crime City sounds like it's neighbors with Lazy Town or something. Crime City sounds so stupid, so juvenile. So from this point forward, I'm going to call this skin Mafia Misfortune because that's what it's called. Mafia Misfortune is pretty badass looking. She looks like she means serious business in this pinstripe suit getup, complete with the hat, and yes, more garter belts and thigh highs. You're not going to catch me complaining about that. Or her totally practical, not at all impractical outfits that she wears throughout all of her skins. I would never complain about those. Come on. Similarly to Road Warrior, we see Misfortune swap out her pistols for weapons that function exactly nothing like pistols with a couple of Thompson submachine guns. I actually do think this is going to be our first B tier skin. Although it doesn't do much aside from changing the look of the skin, it's really badass looking. And it's always available, so that also does it a lot of favors. 975 RP still feels a little steep to me, but I guess it's fine. Like I said, B tier seems like a perfectly reasonable spot for this. Arcade Misfortune sees a serious step up when it comes to her skins because we get some actual changes to her stuff, coincidentally. We've now moved into the territory of skins now costing 1350 RP, so keep that in mind going forward. Now, it's no secret that I really do enjoy the arcade skins. First and foremost, I am a gamer. 8-bit graphics and pixel noises are going to scratch a part of my brain in a way that's very nostalgic and very pleasing to me. There's the fun little detail of her using light guns from Duck Hunt. It even plays into her recall a little bit with her getting pretty angry and destroying a CRTV in one shot. Powerful stuff. This is a great skin. Arcade usually is. It's one of the more popular skin lines in the entire game. Go figure. I think this is going to be our first A tier pick. It's kind of weird that you have to pay 975 RP to get the actual base skin of Misfortune, but I guess Riot is one of those weird companies that likes money. This is basically base Misfortune 2.0. It's sleeker looking, looks a little more realistic, has some darker shading to it. The biggest change that it has is that it gives Misfortune an actual recall animation instead of her just kind of idling around. Most of the skins we've looked at up to this point haven't had a recall animation, so this was Riot basically giving Misfortune one. I think it has to go in C tier just because this is what the base look for Misfortune should have looked like from the start anyway. I cannot see myself placing it any higher than C tier. So I'm going to let you guys in on one of the many secret rules from League of Legends. If you're a hot girl, you get a pool party skin. And so, we have a pool party skin to review for Misfortune. This one sees her sporting a pair of sunglasses, a hat, she gets a bathing suit, and she dual-wields super soakers. I don't know how you're supposed to kill Volibear with a couple super soakers, but this is the 80 carry rule we're talking about. Her attacks and abilities now have water-style effects on them with the appropriate splashy sounds, and her recall has her taking a ton of selfies to post on the good old gram. I think people still call it that. It costs 1350 RP and is pretty decent. I'm just not super blown away by it. Solid B tier entry, I think. So I have yet another super secret League of Legends rule. Alright guys, listen up. I need you to keep up with me because this one's really complicated too. If you're a hot girl, you get a Star Guardian skin. I know. Deja vu there. Anyway, Star Guardian skins are one of the premier skin lines in League of Legends, being insanely popular no matter who gets one. She gets a brand new Sailor Moon inspired outfit, and despite me always thinking of Misfortune as more, let's go with morally ambiguous, she seems more anti-hero with this look. Like, sure, yeah, she's part of the good guys, but she'd probably do some questionable stuff just so her leader Ari doesn't have to get her hands dirty. Think Zoro and Luffy from One Piece. And I know you'll understand that reference, because Star Guardians are incredibly weep-like skins. So everybody who likes the skin understood the reference I was going for. She gets a bunch of orange starbursts that replace most of her abilities and her auto attack. She gets a new recall that features her magical girl transformation and her little Star Guardian familiars, one of which is wearing an eye patch, which is both cute, tragic, and maybe a little terrifying. Riot tends to make sure all the Star Guardian skins are top quality because they know they'll be insanely hot sellers. So we're going to go with putting this one in A tier. Jamma Guardian Misfortune is basically the same as Star Guardian, but with her wearing jammies instead of her uniform. I like the little nightcap that she has on because it's modeled after her little familiar with the eye patch, and there's something about Misfortune, who is incredibly dangerous in her own right, wearing bunny slippers. Another reason to see this and the Star Guardian skin as A tier level skins, because yes, we're going to put this one in A tier as well, is the fact that they have home guard animations with them flying around surrounded by Captain Marvel inspired effects and colors. Like I said, A tier. I really didn't have to do too much thinking on this one. It's pretty incredible that we get an ultimate skin for Misfortune before we get a legendary skin, but there you go, sometimes that's just how that works. Gun Goddess Misfortune is an awesome skin, especially from a technical standpoint, because it's basically 4 for the price of 1, even if that price is a little high. Although not as high as other ultimate skins, this one is actually a couple hundred RP cheaper than the others. I guess it's due to some backlash that Riot got, seeing as, and I am quoting here, the quality was not up to the same standards as other ultimate skins. So they lowered the price overall, which is really strange, and I don't know if I agree with the quality being lower on this one. The skin has 4 different forms you can use at any point in the game. I like all of them, although if I had to pick a favorite, I really like the yellow and white one, but I cannot tell you how close that was. They're all really good looking. Oh, and by the way, the color of her spell effects change depending on what form you're using as well, which is just a really fantastic touch. The whole thing with the skin is that Misfortune is now equipped with a sort of mech that she's wearing, equipped with some serious firepower, and a jetpack as well, which we get to see during her home guard animations and her recall. It's an ultimate skin, so we have to get something that a lot of skins in this game don't have, which is new voice lines, which include her and her new AI having a lot of quippy banter with each other, further shown in a new joke, because she also has all new emotes with her showing off her finger guns with her taunt, getting a new dance, and she gets a new recall, like I mentioned, as well. The skin is incredible, even for an ultimate skin. I think it's really good. I like the freedom with being able to choose what armor to be wearing, which isn't something that all ultimate skins share. Despite all that, it's not my favorite Misfortune skin, so we're going to go in A tier, but it would not surprise me if at the end of the video, where I rank everything and arrange the tiers more, this is sitting at the very top of A tier. Oh, please, someone make a comment on why it's not S tier. Please, I'm begging. I haven't had many excuses to be sarcastically mean lately, and I would kill for one. It's been a hard month. I've mentioned it before, but Halloween and Christmas is a time for Riot's skin department to shine, with at least one winner for each every year. And you certainly won't hear me complaining about another hot witch skin. I'm pretty sure we've been over my supreme love of witches before, so I won't embarrass myself again, but so you really blame a guy. Honestly, slap a gothic outfit on any champ, give them a witch's hat, and I'm probably gonna like it. Give it some new effects, and you got a high quality skin on your hands. I love how her pistols are now these candles. They look a little bit like Litwick from Pokemon. Feels very matching with her new aesthetic. Purple and orange are the new colors for her abilities, which is very in line with Halloween, and she also has some jack-o'-lantern iconography to go along with them as well. Same with her recall, with a pumpkin monster coming to life before being gunned down, and Misfortune uses it as a lounging chair. The only nitpick I could really find with the skin is that it is legacy. That being said, it'll probably be available here in, a few weeks around Halloween? I think for that, we gotta knock it down to B tier, but it's mostly because of the sheer amount of good skins that Misfortune has. Because, spoiler alert, we're only a little over halfway done. You know, if you were asking me like 3 years ago to do this tier list, I probably would have put this one as my S tier pick. I love the prestige version of the Bewitching skin so much. It's so gorgeous. Gold and white for a witch skin is such a lovely contrast from what we've... Gold and white for a witch skin is such a lovely contrast compared to everything we're used to seeing from it. All the spell effects look so bright and shiny, and there's something about playing with this skin that just feels so smooth. We're not going to spend a ton of time on this one since we covered a majority of it in the previous entry, but I want it to be noted that I absolutely love this skin so much. Just two things to note. There are two versions of this skin, one released in 2019, and then it got a re-release in 2022. I honestly can't see any differences here, but I own the 2019 one and see no reason to not use it. Prestige skins are bought with tokens or mythic essence, which makes them harder to get than other skins, and that would normally knock it down a tier for me, but I'll be a little biased on this one just because of how much I love this particular skin, and since I think it's better than the Bewitching skin anyway, I gotta also give it the A tier. Listen, I try to be objective and unbiased for the most part, but sometimes I gotta put my own love into the tier list to keep people on their toes. You know, we looked at a lot of heavy hitters for the last few entries, so it's about time for in my opinion, a more underrated pick. I don't see the skin used too often, but I think that says more about Miss Fortune having a ton of phenomenal skins rather than this one being bad necessarily. This gives Miss Fortune the Viego makeover with a ghostly green aura to her and her abilities, and the pale skin, dark glowing eyes, and silver hair gives her a very sinister and menacing appearance, probably her scariest looking skin. This is a Miss Fortune that you do not want to fuck with. Me personally, I would, but I'm mentally ill and have some serious issues with women who want to cause me pain and suffering. Is that too real? Did I overshare? It was for comedic effect, so I think it's fine. We get a new voice filter, which is something we really haven't seen from her so far. With her other skins, we get a new recall that has her mounting a ghost shark. Pause. That sounded awkward. Overall, very good skin. I say it's underrated. Despite that fact, I think it's going to be a B tier level skin. We finally get a legendary skin with Battle Bunny Miss Fortune, and we're going to just start out with this. This is going to be my S tier pick. I love everything about this skin. It feels so smooth to use. She has bunny ears. She skips when she walks. She's actually not the one firing her guns herself. If you look closely, she actually has two bunny familiars that are just bloodthirsty, I guess, and feel the need to just squeeze the trigger. She gets new spell effects and abilities that feature a bunch of bright colors and bunny iconography. She gets new very, very adorable emotes, a crazy cool new recall. As weird as it sounds, my favorite part of the skin is the fact that she just skips along when she's moving. I think there's something strangely menacing about a badass bounty hunter skipping towards her targets while wearing bunny-themed armor. I've heard the term adorably non-threatening before, but this is adorably threatening. Listen, it's Miss Fortune weaponizing bunny rabbits while looking incredible. I knew going in this was going to be my S tier pick. As usual, it's super biased, but that's the point of the S tier. Although if I'm being completely honest, I don't think this is going to be a hot take as far as being her best skin. At least I'd certainly hope not. The Battle Bunny skin that we just looked at has a variant known as the Admiral Battle Bunny skin. Weird skin to get because it was unlocked by either a 1% drop rate from capsules bought during an event or by opening 30 of them. You got it automatically, which I do appreciate from Riot because the skin is disgustingly beautiful, but then so is the Battle Bunny skin. The skin is also basically considered legendary because, well, it's an Echo Fighter version of it that carries all the same changes. It really is dependent on which look you like more, the more classic version, or this one, the more Judy Hopps-inspired version. Both, I will say, are incredible. Obviously, I gave the edge to the original here, but the skin is still so good. And if you have it, you're a lucky son of a bitch, because like I mentioned, I don't play League, so I didn't get the opportunity to get this one. If it wasn't obvious, it's going to go in A tier, although getting it does seem like it's going to be a serious pain in the ass in the future. Miss Fortune getting a holy style skin was not on my bingo card for today, but here we are. So this skin also feels like it's an advancement to her base skin. If it wasn't for the stylistic halo and stained glass windows that's part of her recall, I would have just assumed this was another version of her base skin, just using a hood instead. Colors are very similar to her normal look. I touched on it already, but that halo looks very cool. You just don't see stuff like that with normal skins. I love that it just like follows you around. It's close enough to the skin that it's not distracting, but it's also far enough away from it that it just looks very unique. You get light style effects on her attacks and abilities with some stained glass window iconography on her passive. The skin is more on the simpler side, but it has everything you'd normally see from a 1350 RP cost skin. It just doesn't stand out compared to some of the other more thematic skins. I think we're going to go B tier for this one. Well, we have an interesting dilemma here for this one because on one hand, this prestige version of Broken Covenant has a lot more drastic changes to its overall look, making it stand out more and overall look like an actual different skin as opposed to the normal Broken Covenant skin. But because it's a prestige skin, It's really difficult to get. I think we're gonna go B tier on this one as well. The silver color does look cool, but 150 mythic essence is such a steep price, and I don't know if this skin really does enough to deserve it. So I feel like placing it in the same tier as its normal version is pretty fair here. So that was a long string of skins with variants of each other, but that streak has now been broken because now we get the Porcelain Misfortune skin, an interesting skin line that if I had to sum up in one word, I'd probably say elegant. The skin uses a very pleasant blue color to her new model and her new effects. They also have these sound effects on them that sound like plates breaking or clinking against something else. Misfortune with blue hair actually looks really good. I'm just so used to her having red or blonde hair that the dark hair really threw me off at first, but it looks hot. Her pistols have this draconic look to them that looks very menacing, and her recall has her fighting a snake demon thing before eventually absorbing it into a vase. Overall, this skin is really good. It did come out early in the year, and despite matching a similar aesthetic to Lunar New Year skins, I don't think this one was released because of it. Usually the Lunar New Year occurs in January. The skin came out in late February, so there's probably some correlation behind this release, but nothing official. It's a pretty solid skin overall, and I do think it's going to go in A tier. Battle Queen Misfortune is going to be the last skin we will be talking about today because it's her newest skin, at least as of the time of me making this video. But with how many skins she has and with how popular she is, I give this video less than 6 months before it's technically outdated with a new release. Battle Queen has this musketeer, European corsair style look. I've always liked these big hats with a feather on it. It's very pretty, very demure, very Barbossa-like. Ironically enough, we have two skins in a row that have very different overall looks to them. They both use blue style effect changes on her abilities and attacks. The skin feels like it would fit right at home in the Arcane universe, with her being a pirate queen in charge of a fleet of airships, complete with two pistols that look like they use some sort of hex tech to inflict some serious damage. Or in the case of her recall, they just kind of fire off fireworks. I'm a sucker for this kind of style, this aesthetic. I don't know exactly what to call it. It's very like European in concept. The whole vibe with the feather in the hat and the whole airship pirate queen, that's fantasy setting. It's very appealing to me. It's my creative juices flowing really hard. This is for sure an A tier pick. I honestly feel like this skin could have been turned into a legendary skin if it had more going for it. It feels like they started to turn this into a legendary skin and then kind of copped out halfway through and just turned it into a more traditional skin. Either way, it's still really good. And like I said, A tier level for sure. All right, now it's time for everybody's favorite part of the video where we have gone through everything. We have put them all in the tiers. Now it's time to order and rank them. We'll start in F tier. Really hard to do this. I don't know what order we're going to put these in. Of course, Waterloo, the only F tier skin. I just think it's ugly. D tier, Road Warrior. It's probably... These are so, like, whatever to me. Like, the base Misfortune, she has so many incredible skins that using base just feels kind of like a waste. Road Warrior, it just needed to do more to qualify as like a skin you had to purchase. C tier is where things start getting interesting. Out of all of these, if we're going off splash art, Secret Agent's at the top. If we're actually going in-game, it probably goes Candy Cane, Captain, Cowgirl, Secret Agent. Secret Agent is such a letdown in-game, but the splash art is incredible. B tier... B tier's where things get tricky, I think, a little more. I think by far the best skin is the Prestige Broken Covenant skin. I think Bewitching is the next best one. Ruined is probably after that. As much as I personally like Mafia Misfortune a lot, because I'm going to call it Mafia and not Crime City. It doesn't scale as well to the other ones because they have spell effect changes. So I think it's going to the bottom. And then I think Pool Party is just more fun than Broken Covenant. So I think this is going to be our order for B tier. Prestige, Broken Covenant, Bewitching, Ruin, Pool Party, Broken Covenant, Mafia. It's called Mafia. A tier is probably the craziest because these skins are all perfect. These skins are so good that it is so hard to make a decision. That being said, I think the Prestige... The Admiral Bunny, you know, this skin. This one, Going to the top over Gun Goddess, I think might be a controversial take, but it's so good. And so is Gun Goddess, for that matter. I think after that, me personally, I like to put the Prestige Bewitching at the top, just because I cannot understate how fantastic this skin is. After that, it probably goes Star Guardian. Oh, we'll put Pajama Guardian just as an out, just to make that easy for ourselves. Arcade after that. And then, aesthetically, I like Battle Queen more. I do think Porcelain is better overall. Me personally, I would use Battle Queen more times than I'd use Porcelain, but Porcelain, I think, is better, if that makes sense. And then S tier has Battle Bunny, because it's incredible. And she skips when she walks, and it's very cute. So that is the tier list. That is the ranking. If I have any of these in the wrong spot, I'm sure you will let me know. My only thing is, leave me a comment on why you think that, so I can read it. Because if you just, say mean things on the internet without giving a reason, who are you impressing, really? That is going to do it for this episode. Thank you so much for watching. Like the video if you liked it. Subscribe if you're new here. I do a tier list every Saturday, except for the Saturdays I don't, for whatever reason. There is always a video on my main homepage for my channel, just talking about the schedule for the month. So you will always have... You'll always be plugged in to what I'm working on. Like, comment, subscribe, share. Outros suck, especially without a script. What are you going to do? And I will see you all in the next one.